Hey guys, Gnarly again with another influence video. In this video, I'm going to be covering navigating the secondary market on OpenSea. So within the last week or so, the secondary market has been really heating up with a lot of activity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you some of the tips and tricks I use to try to find the best deals out there. There are a lot of deals, a lot of things that you need to look for, and if you're coming in this as a new community member, you may not know what exactly to buy. And so I'm going to give you some of my thoughts and my opinions. I'm not trying to influence the market at all, but these are just my honest opinions as someone who's been a part of this community since April. So really following what all of the utility each asteroid provides and thinking that there are some market inefficiencies out there that you may be able to take advantage of. So let's go ahead and let's do it. Alright guys, so I have the influence OpenSea pulled up here. I just have the price sorted from low to high. I have no filters applied. So let's first just check out the recent activity. And you can see that we've been growing slowly but surely ever since. In the last month, we've really spiked in activity, which is really exciting for the community. And we've had a fair number of sales even within the last couple of days, which is really cool to see. So let's go back to the main page. And so the first thing you want to do is recently specialist crew members were just allowed to be minted for people who owned an early adopter asteroid from the first sale. So you can watch my other video that goes into the detail of the minting process, but basically these specialist crew members are going to be extremely valuable within the game and have been driving up the price of asteroids ever since they've been announced. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you toggle on the Can Mint crew to start looking for any specific deals. Our vet specialist is on, and so you can already see the flora jumps from 0.2 to 0.4 almost. And so when you're looking at asteroids, the first thing I like to look at is the size of the asteroid, because the size means how many lots are you going to be able to build on that asteroid. So when you see a asteroid that's only 20 kilometers squared, you have 20 lots, which means you have 20 buildings that you can build on that asteroid. When you see an asteroid that's 40 kilometers squared, you can build twice as many buildings on that individual asteroid. So that's the first thing I like to do, is I look to look at the size to see if there's any that stick out. Did someone list a pretty large asteroid at a lower price and not realize it? And you can already see that the sizes start to jump, even though that the overall price doesn't necessarily change as much. So that's the main thing I like to look at, is I like to look at the size. Another thing to consider that's pretty key is the rarity. So you can already see that all of these asteroids are on the floor are uncommon, and you can see that the rares are a little bit more expensive based on just the secondary market and the secondary market values. And you can also see a couple of unscanned in there as well, which means they haven't been scanned yet within the game. Their rarity is unknown. So you could purchase one of those and it ends up being an incredibly rare asteroid, or it ends up being an uncommon asteroid. So I kind of like to think of these specific asteroids as more or less like Top Shot packs, unopened packs per se. And so that's another thing to consider, is whether or not the asteroid's been scanned or not. If you like to gamble a little bit, then maybe paying up for an unscanned asteroid of a decent size is worth it compared to buying an uncommon at floor. But you may just end up with an uncommon asteroid when you could have gotten it a little bit cheaper. So these are all variables that I think about when I'm looking at asteroids on the secondary market. And then it gets a little bit more complicated comparing across rarities. So how do you compare an uncommon asteroid of a certain size compared to a rarer asteroid of a certain size? And so what I like to think about is the boosts that those asteroids have. So let's take this Superior, for example. I don't know who owns this, but I'm just going to look at these properties real quick, and I'm going to look at the individual boost. So they have a 20% metal boost, a 10% volatile boost. So let's say that's a 30% boost to their asteroid. So each, just for a conservative estimate, so each lot is 1.3 times more output than your base common no bonus asteroid. And so you got to kind of take that into account when you're looking at these asteroids, because is that necessarily worth more than an unscanned asteroid that's almost 3 times the size? In my opinion, no. I would rather go for the larger asteroid, all things equal, but these rarer asteroids will be, at a minimum, a great collector item just because they are so rare. I believe that Superior are going to be in the top 10% or top 5% of rarity in the game, and so they're going to be definitely a status symbol no matter what. But in terms of the actual output an asteroid has, this is something that you need to consider. And then another thing you need to consider for these early adopter asteroids is that all of the smalls has a certain NFT ship skin attached to them. All of the mediums have a certain NFT ship skin attached to them, and all of the larges. So essentially in the first sale, there were very few larges bought. There were more mediums bought, but a majority of the asteroids were small. And so that means that the biggest supply of the ship skins are going to be in that small category. And so that's another thing that affects the floor price of the asteroid. Just scrolling down for some of the asteroids that are listed a little higher, you can see that the lowest medium listed is at 1.25, which is because of the size of it, but also of the NFT ship skin. And that's another thing to consider when you're thinking about the size of the asteroid. When you're minting the specialists, which I showed in my other video, you're going to be able to and that's another thing about the asteroid regarding size. When you're minting the specialist, you're going to be able to have a better chance at a rarer specialist if you're going to purchase or a larger rock and then roll or mint your specialist on a larger rock. So those are just some high level variables I like to consider when I'm browsing OpenSea. Looking at these asteroids, I prioritize first the size, then the rarity, and then what else do I like to look at? I like to look at the orbital period, the inclination. How fast is it? Is it pretty flat? Because people have speculated in the community that a flatter asteroid may be worth more because it's more predictable. What's the eccentricity? Is it 0, which means it's completely spherical? Is it more elliptical, which means even though it's fast, the orbital period may be a little less predictable? And then lastly, before you buy anything, you should look up this asteroid within the game. So I don't know who owns this asteroid, but I'm going to open it in game just to see. So what you need to do is you need to pull up the game, grab this ID, and then search it in the asteroid filter. So pick by asteroid ID, go to it, and you can see it's got a short orbital period. It's close to the star. It's a pretty flat orbit. And so that's another thing that you could consider. If you already own rocks, is it near any of your other rocks? Is it a co-orbital to one of your other rocks, which may make it more valuable to you specifically? Thank you all for watching, everyone. In this video, I talked about navigating the secondary market. I really hope that this helped you navigate the secondary market and understand the existing value of asteroids today, and maybe notice some of the market inefficiencies out there today. Thank you all for watching. I'm Gnarly Narwhal, and I hope to see you on the belt.